we're doing it now.
Okay, well, looks like we're live again here on Facebook. Appreciate everybody coming out again today to learn a little bit more on some of the resources that are out here. Very exciting day for us today. Again, I'm Chris Strayer, Executive Vice President with the Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce. So excited that you all can be here. So today we have City of Fort Worth, a couple of folks from the City of Fort Worth to talk to us about a few different things. I know the shelter in place and the essential business and essential employees has been a big topic of conversation the last 48 hours. And so we have Andrea Ellis here from the city who's going to chat with us, and hopefully Brandon Bennett will be joining us as well from the city. He is being pulled in and out, and so hopefully we'll have him to talk about some of these essential businesses and essential personnel as well. And then we have Robert Stearns from the economic development team from the city, who's going to be talking to us about some of the programs that they're working on, some of the efforts they're going through, just as it relates to business in general across the city of Fort Worth. So with that, I will turn it over to Andrea and let her kind of explain what they're doing over there at the city and talk about some of the different things in essential businesses and some of the questions that we're getting about who are essential businesses, how can you travel, who are those employees. So with that, Andrea, take it away, please.
Hi, I'm Andrea Ellis. I'm one of the co-supervisors with the City of Fort Worth. Do we have that list that we can share?
I will pull it up right now.
It may be easier to go through that.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so on the city's website, which is www.fortworthtexas.gov, there is a list of what is considered to be essential versus non-essential businesses. In the essential business column, naturally we have all of the medical, healthcare services, government functions, essential critical infrastructure as defined by the Homeland Security, which that just includes like road constructions and things like that. Essential retail, what we're classifying that is as grocery stores, restaurants. The food facilities are still following the same guidelines as they have been for the past couple of days, where the dining room areas are supposed to be closed for people dining in. They can only do takeout delivery. People can go into their business to buy the food and take it home. They just cannot congregate inside of the restaurant dining area. I know a lot of the restaurants have already closed their dining area and they're only doing delivery services or drive-through services, which is fine. Convenience stores are still open because they do sell grocery items as well. Let's see, what was the next one? Providers of basic necessities to economically disadvantaged populations. Those, we have had some questions about like resale shops that supply goods and clothes to the shelters. Those are still considered essential. So those people can still provide those goods and services to the shelters. We just ask that residents don't go into their facilities to go shopping like at thrift stores, and that they don't take any donations at this time, simply because of the virus transmission. Let's see, financial institutions, of course, banks are going to be, they're going to be open for business. One of the changes that was made with the stay-at-home order is that the child care services, they are essential, but we are asking that the child care providers only care for children of people that are considered essential employees. So it's really going to be on the child care to figure out which parents are considered essential employees and which aren't. The whole stay-at-home order is to get people to stay at home. So if you don't have to work, then your child doesn't need to be in child care. It can be with you at home. A lot of the questions that we've been getting right now are construction type questions. The city is considering almost all construction to be essential, whether it be commercial, government, residential, new home construction. We're considering that to be essential because people are buying homes, they want to move, you know, the homes have to be built. We're asking that people don't start major renovation projects right now. If you have a renovation project that is in process, like your kitchen's being remodeled or your bathroom's being remodeled, you know, certainly go ahead and try to finish that if you can. People have to have kitchens, you have to have bathrooms. Just don't try to start it right now. Let's see. Veterinary offices, feed stores, pet food supply companies, we're all considering that essential. So if they want to remain open, they can. I know some veterinary offices are either going just to emergencies only, or they're still operating as normal, which is fine. Let's see, church services. We're asking that, you know, people stay home. A lot of churches are doing live broadcasts of their services. And so that's one way that they can get, you know, get the people to worship, is just to stay at home though. Moving services, we are still considering those essential because people are moving around. So U-Haul, public storage places, things like that. We're allowing those to remain open. Any office type of business, if those workers can do their work from home, then they need to be at home doing their work. So we're getting a lot of phone calls about law offices, tax offices, accountants, things like that. While they're not, they're kind of in that gray area of essential versus non-essential. So if that work can be done from a home via online or email or phone calls, then certainly, you know, still conduct your business. If it can't be done from the home, you know, especially like at a tax office or CPA, you know, the government has extended the tax deadline. So therefore, we're kind of not considering that an essential function right now. They can wait a couple weeks to get back going. So you have any questions?
Oh yeah, we have plenty.
I know.
And we'll get to those questions in a second. I'll just leave this up so that everybody can kind of continue to peruse this. But Robert, why don't we flip over to you and talk about what you and your team are working on? Robert, you got yourself muted.
Thank you. All right. Yeah. The first off, let me just say, the city recognizes what an incredibly challenging time this is for our business owners. This has been something that we're all really trying to struggle through. How do we get the best resources out to the business owners and try to find the ways to assist them as efficiently as we can and provide them as most relief as we can. I will tell you that a lot of our efforts over the past week or so have been really drilled down on the SBA economic injury disaster loans. I know you all covered those in a previous Facebook Live event. So that's something that we've really been pushing out to ensure that now that Texas has been declared and that those funds are available, that the small business owners know about that as a resource for them. But I'll say that that's not the only resource that's sitting out there. So while the economic injury disaster loans were just declared, there are other loan programs through the SBA that small businesses can access today. Even with the economic injury loans, I'm hearing that's another 3 or 4 weeks before those funds will actually become available to the small businesses, and so obviously being able to deal with some of their shortfalls in capital in the immediate short term is probably going to be more of an issue to them. So, you can always look at loan programs like the SBA 504 program, the SBA 7A program, or the Express Loan program. Those funds are out there. They're available. You can access them through a number of SBA lending partners. We have a few here at the Business Assistance Center. And so if a company is sitting out there and they have the capacity to take on some additional debt to keep these business operations going, I would say don't hold up waiting on the disaster relief funds. Go ahead and look at these other programs that are out there that can assist you while still trying to go ahead and make application for the economic injury funds. We are updating all this information on the city's webpage, so fortworthtexas.gov/COVID-19-business. All of this information is out there, so you can find this. You can find links to these various programs. So if you have any concerns about being able to access information as far as the available resources, you can find it there. It's on the city's Facebook page, our economic development page, our business assistance center page. Sometimes it's on my page, so all the resources that we can utilize to kind of get that out there, we do that. The other thing that we've been looking at, the city has been working on what we're calling a microloan program or a stabilization fund, which would allow us to stand some funds up locally for our small business owners. We're working in a partnership with People Fund on that. And hopefully we will have the structure lined up around that program here over the next few days and be able to make some announcements on what that looks like and what the availability of funds will be. And so that'll be kind of one piece of the overall puzzle as it relates to trying to deal with some of the operating needs that our businesses have. And that's really, as we kind of think through how we're going to get through this process and what it looks like on the other side. I mean, there's going to have to be this layering of different types of resources for businesses. So it's not going to be something that the city is going to be able to do exclusively to ensure that our small businesses are able to function and carry on. It's not going to be just at the state level or the federal level. I mean, it's going to have to be a combination of all of these different types of programs and resources that are out there that will enable us to hopefully weather this storm the best way that we can. Yeah, I will say that I've been, shouldn't be surprised, but Fort Worth as a community has really stepped up. I'm just amazed at the number of partners and individuals that have reached out to us either through our city council members or reached out to our economic development office directly to provide thoughts, ideas, resources, different programs that they have in the mix. And so we're really trying to facilitate and support all of these folks that are really looking to support Fort Worth small business owners. And so I know it's really been a challenge to see where information is coming from, whether it's the city or the chamber or SBA or a number of different groups out there. But just understand, I just want to relay the message to the business community that there is a fairly comprehensive amount of work being done to stand up resources that will address some of the needs that we're seeing from our business owners. Now, I will say, the city put out a survey, a business survey. It's been, I think, just over a week since we released that business survey. I've had about 1,200 responses to that survey to date. And, it's no surprise. The one thing that small businesses are really being impacted by are access to capital issues. Of those 1,200 or so responses, about 80% of those, almost 80%, were small business owners with under 25 employees. Again, their primary needs are operating capital, rent, mortgage relief, et cetera. And almost 30% say that their revenue has decreased by 80% or more during just the opening weeks of this pandemic. And so we definitely understand that we've got to be very proactive in trying to get some things in place soon because we understand that small businesses just don't have the wherewithal to continue to operate for another 30 days or so without income coming in. And so we're trying to stand up our resources on the local level as soon as we can, and then get information out on the state and federal level. As you're aware, that the Senate today approved a massive stimulus bill, which includes about $360 billion for small business loans, and so that will move to the House. And so we're hopeful that those dollars will begin to get moving out to the states and to the municipalities. And then we continue to look at different organizations like Facebook. They have a $100 million grant program for small businesses, which they've announced. We haven't got a lot of details on that yet when that's going to launch, but that's out there. Just today, I received some information from the state that they're offering some short-term payment assistance on sales tax and waivers of penalties and interest. So for those small businesses that had sales tax bills due last week, the state is offering a resource that you can tap into to try to help with that situation. And then on the utility side, the city and Atmos have suspended disconnections for commercial customers. I believe TXU is considering that as well. I don't know if they finalized that, but but those are just some of the things that are in place right now. So we're trying to stay on top of all of these different things as they come through the pipeline, ensure that we're coordinating with our JEOC and trying to get that information out to our business owners as quickly as we can.
Great. Well, thank you, Robert, for that. So with that, we'll go to start some questions now. We've gotten a lot of really good questions in here, but Andrew, I want to start with two kind of questions we talked about before. Number one, just from a personal standpoint, I think you touched on this. Can we go to the grocery store? Can we go to the hardware store? What does that look like? And I know we had talked about before that there's leniency there, but what is the best practice there?
So with this stay-at-home order, people can definitely go to the grocery store. What we're really trying to do is make people stay at home. If it's essential, if you're running out of groceries, go to the grocery store. Like the mayor said yesterday, if you can possibly only bring one person to the grocery store, do that. We understand that, there's some parents out there that may be single parents, they have 3 or 4 kids that they have to bring, and that's fine. But if you can just take yourself or just one person to go to the grocery store. If you have to go to the hardware store, like if you need to fix your toilet or you need to fix your sink, the hardware stores are remaining open for those reasons. So again, just go there, pick up what you need and go home. What we don't want or what we're trying to avoid is having people go to grocery stores or to hardware stores and just stay there for 30, 45 minutes walking through the aisle shopping like we normally would on a Saturday afternoon. We really want it to be, I need this particular item, I'm going to go there, pick it up and go home. There are no travel restrictions right now. You don't have to have any type of documentation or letter or permit in order to be out on the streets to travel. Police aren't going around and just randomly stopping people in Fort Worth to see if you're essential or not. So we are encouraging people to stay home, but if you have to go out, just really be mindful of where you're going and go there, get what you need and go home.
Great. And you answered the second question that I had in that response was, do you need documentation to be out when we talk about essential businesses and essential employees? But it does not sound like that's the case. You don't need a letter from your employer or anything else. You're not going to be asked for something like that at all.
Correct. As of right now, we're not issuing any type of letters or permits or needing documentation. I know that some businesses are supplying their employees with some sort of documentation saying that they're essential, and that's fine. Those people can keep them, keep that letter in their car or what have you. But as far as the mandate goes, there's nothing in the mandate that says they have to provide some sort of documentation.
Great. So a lot of the questions that we have here are kind of specific to their individual use. And so before I start on some of these questions, if somebody's not tuned into this or they do have a question, they get this forwarded to them, I'm assuming they go to your website, or is there a hotline or a phone number that they can call and ask the questions? What's the contact information for that? And we'll make sure we get it out on our website.
So we do have a hotline and an email. It's been a long day. The hotline is 392. The email is covid19@fortworthtexas.gov. And the phone number is 817-392. I'm getting a piece of paper. It's 817-392-8478. We do have code officers and health inspectors that are on the lines answering those phones, as well as the emails. I will say we've been swamped with phone calls and emails, particularly the emails. And so it may be a little while before you get a response back on the emails, but we are trying desperately to get back to every single one of the emails that comes in.
Great. Well, we understand how busy you are over there, and we appreciate all the work that you and your team are putting into that. And so getting to some of the other questions, and you covered this a little bit, but just to rehash a little bit about that construction, not halting construction, whatever that is, not a specific limit on the type of construction or the use of that construction or the end feature. Just, finish up what you have going on. Just try not to start anything right now.
Correct.
Great. And you had mentioned about essential retail. So somebody had a question on that. What is essential retail? Non-food retail establishments still open, offering curbside purchasing. Can you go a little bit further into what that essential retail is?
So what we're considering essential retail is businesses that need to supply at-home workers with things. So for instance, electronic stores, they may supply computer parts or wiring, things like that for people to work at home. What we're asking is for those retailers to either fulfill online orders or have people call with a particular item that they need, go to the store, pick it up, and go home. There are some other retail places that supply, for instance, fabric for people to work at home, to sew and things like that. Again, we just don't want customers in those buildings walking through the aisles, taking time shopping, things like that. They really need to know what they need, purchase that item, and go home. It's really, as far as the retails go, we are allowing a lot of the retail sectors to have workers in there fulfilling online orders, because we know that, some of the big box stores, they have online ordering that they have to get out to other cities and states and things like that. So with those respect, we're just asking that their workers stay 6 feet apart and have minimum contact with each other.
Another question is, where do private schools fall? Are teachers, administrators allowed to access the campus for the purpose of school business and to promote the distance learning?
As far as we know, the private schools would fall under the educational order that came through. So K through 12, the schools are supposed to be closed for children. Teachers can go into the schools, because I know some of the teachers are going back and kind of doing online lessons and webinars and things like that. So I believe that is still the case with private schools. I can double check and get back with you on that though.
Great. And like any of these questions that we have here, if the information is not readily available, we'll certainly be working with Andrea and Robert and their teams to get the information back out to the folks who are asking these questions if we don't have them right now. So the next question is about babysitting. So we talked about childcare. What if you have a babysitter traveling to the home? Is that an essential employee? How does that function in?
If they are watching the child of someone that has to be at work, then they can certainly travel and they can certainly continue their job.
Great. Next question. I think we covered this about, people getting pulled over if they're an essential business and receiving a fine. That's not the case at this point. Getting down to another question. Real estate transaction services related to real estate transactions. What does that look like? How is that, with title companies, with, meeting to sign contracts and things like that? What does that look like for real estate?
So we're getting a lot of questions about that. The whole goal is to keep people at home. So we know that these real estate transactions have to occur because people are trying to buy homes. There's deadlines for closing, things like that. So we're encouraging that those places, if you have employees that can work from home, to let them work from home. We're encouraging them to do as much as they can through email, through phones. A lot of these documents, you can have electronic signatures for a lot of the real estate documents. If they have to sign something in person, then we're asking those type of companies just to have maybe 1 or 2 people there to really minimize contact and exposure with other people. We understand people, you're buying a house, there are certain deadlines that you have to adhere to. So we don't want to just say you can't do anything like that. but we really want to try to minimize contact. So again, if they have to come in to sign something, maybe 1 or 2 people involved in that process so that they're not, they're not like 10 people in the room trying to sign something.
Great. Another question that came in, and I think the person might have missed it, but can you go over again the CPA services and those financial services now it relates to the tax deadlines being extended and processing payroll or financial statements, how that functions?
As far as like if it's an essential function or not, or?
Yeah, because it was mentioned that CPA services are not essentially are not essential right now because that can be done from home. But what if there's some things, again, processing the payroll, providing financial statements, some of these things with some companies just cannot be done remotely right now. And so I'm assuming those are, essential functions. But again, just kind of reiterate what you were talking about with the CPAs and some of those things that you had mentioned before.
Definitely. So again, the whole idea is for people to stay at home. So if there are some aspects of the job that they can do at home via online or by phone, then we certainly want to encourage that. For those individuals that can't stay at home and have to go into the office, then we are asking that they keep their social distance or their personal distance of 6 feet apart from everyone. Obviously payroll, people got to get paid. So we're going to, make exceptions for that. They can go into the office and process the payroll. Just keep personal distance from people, wipe down your surfaces, wash your hands, follow the good personal hygiene that everyone's been talking about recently. And then as far as the tax services go, the government did extend the tax date, the tax due date. So for those people that, have CPAs that are looking to drop off their taxes or have to sign anything, if the CPA or the tax office can work from home, then we're encouraging them to work from home. If somebody has to come in and sign something in person, minimize the people that are going to be there so that there's less contact, there's less exposure. Don't wash your hands, don't, use anybody else's pen, that kind of thing.
Great. Now, here's an interesting question that I don't know if you'll have the answer to or not. We can certainly get back to this individual, but talking about travel, business travel across county lines. And so if you're a manufacturer, you have facilities in Tarrant County, but also Denton, but maybe Dallas County, and commuting to those locations, or employees commuting in from counties that are outside of the stay at home or the shelter in place ordinance, but coming into a different county. How does that function? That might be outside the purview of what you guys are working on, but I thought it was an interesting question.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know with Tarrant County, there are no travel restrictions. So someone can come in from another county. They don't need paperwork. They don't need letters. And I'm pretty sure that's how it is with Dallas and Denton County, but I can double check and get back with you just to confirm. But as of right now, I don't think that there's any travel restrictions going from county to county or city to city.
Okay, great. Here's another use question: landscaping and lawn mowing services.
Mm-hmm. We've been getting a lot of these phone calls as well. At this time, we are considering lawn mowing services to be an essential function, just because if the grass gets too high, you can start having rodent problems, trash and debris getting in there, snakes, mosquitoes, things like that. So what we are telling our landscape companies is just to focus on the essential portion of the job and just do the mowing. Less contact is better. If they have a large crew of people, see if they can break down their crew to maybe only have one person per truck going to these places. If they have to have more than one person in the truck, then they need to exhibit their, good personal hygiene, maybe wear a mask so that they're not exposed to each other. But we are still considering that function at least to be an essential function.
Okay. And here's another one: car dealerships.
Mm-hmm. So getting a lot of those questions as well. What the city has decided is that with the car dealerships, the lot sales and test driving is a non-essential function. The car dealerships, they can still have their online sales. And with those online sales, I believe someone has to deliver the car to the person that buys it. And then as far as the dealerships, the service department is considered essential because people do need to have their vehicles worked on and repaired.
Okay, great. And I think maybe you covered this, but I just wanted to rehash it just in case we didn't. The health and wellness stores, you know, the vitamin shops and things like that, is that considered a grocery store or is that an essential business?
It's kind of an essential business. We are allowing them to remain open to sell. What we are asking them to do is to have all their online sales. They can still, you know, deliver their online sales. People can call and order stuff ahead of time and then come to their door and, you know, just go in, pay for their stuff and leave. Again, we just don't want a bunch of people inside those stores spending, you know, 20, 30 minutes shopping around for what they want to get. It really needs to be quick, get in, get out, go home.
Great. There's a couple other questions here, but it's kind of outside the purview of what you're working on. So we're going to get back to these folks personally with some information. But Robert, did you have anything else that you wanted to add based on all that conversation that you might think is relevant?
No, you know, Chris, the one thing that I did fail to mention is the mayor has recently stood up 4 task force or committees that will be looking to address a number of issues across the community. One of those is an Economic and Business Advisory Committee. So we'll be meeting this week. It's a group comprised of not only some of our partners and service providers, but large and small businesses, and really begin to just dig down on not only some of these survey results that we've begun to receive, but again, hearing directly from them some of those pressure points and begin to work through a comprehensive policy or set of recommendations that we can begin working on at the local level to ensure that we have some things in place for our business owners. So that'll be kicking off, and expect to hear more information about that over the next few weeks.
Great. I just found a couple of other questions in a different area of the Zoom that I wanted to just check really quick. In-person showings for real estates, you talked about 1-2 people, fine, social distancing. So I assume that would be okay, but not the open house and not congregating of the people.
Yeah, definitely no open houses. We don't want people to congregate inside of a house. We don't want a lot of people out. The whole point of this order is for people to stay home. So if they have to go look at a home, we really want them to, it really needs to be like an essential, like they have to go look at this home. If there's a way that they can do virtual tours of the house, we prefer that. But the whole point is for people to stay home.
Great. Well, that's all we got. I think this has been a great session, Andrea and Robert. Thank you very much for coming on. I know we kind of put this together at the last minute, but this has been extremely helpful. A lot of great questions here, and so we'll be following up with you if we have any other questions that come out of this. But thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
And for the rest of the group out there, the sheet, the picture that's on the screen here, this is on the city's website. You see the website at the bottom. It's on our website. Andrea gave you some contact information, so please feel free to reach out to them, reach out to us, reach out to Robert and his team. And we look forward to talking to you tomorrow and the next day, and we'll be doing some additional webinars and Facebook Lives on some additional topics and resources for you. So look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.